Krishna. Rama Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivracharya Asutra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charna Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anant Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की नवदीप धाम की श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की श्रीमती तुलसी देवी की सामवेद भक्त वृंद की निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Prabhuji, can you put this there? Thank you. Oh. Jai Hari. Good morning and Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome to this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class with ISKCON Sydney, Australia at Shri Radha Gopinath Temple. Welcome to all our online viewers in Mayapur TV and ISKCON Sydney YouTube and also Facebook. Thank you for listening. I've received some very nice feedback of devotees listening into the class. Thank you very much, and please continue to bless me so that I may be of continued service to you all, and please Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan in their service. So this morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 11. Since Text 11 is a short text, with a short purport, I decided, actually we are reading from text 12. And text 12 is a short one, so we'll continue on to 13 also. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. Pravala Vaiduriya Mrinlaya Mrinala Varchasha Pravala Vidurya Mrinala Varchasha Parishturat Kundala Mauli Malina Parishturat Kundala Mauli Malina Pravala Vaidurya Mrinala Varchasha Parishturat Kundala Mauli Malina Pravala Vaidurya Mrinala Varchasha Parishturat Kundala Mauli Malina. So the words Pravala, coral, Vaidurya, a special diamond, Mrinala, celestial lotus, Varchasha, rays, Parishturat, blooming, Kundala, earring, Moli, heads, Malina, with garlands. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Some of them are effulgent like coral and diamonds in complexion and have garlands on their heads, blooming like lotus flowers, and some wear earrings. So I'll repeat that. Some of them are effulgent like coral and diamonds in complexion have garlands on their heads, blooming like lotus flowers, and some wear earrings. So the purport, they are some inhabitants who have attained the liberation of Sarupaya, or possessing bodily features like those of the personality of Godhead. The Vaidurya diamond is especially meant for the personality of Godhead. But one who achieves the liberation of bodily equality with the Lord is especially favored with such diamonds on his body. So very, very opulent in Vaikunt. We are describing the Vaikunt planets. I'll go on to text 13. Brajinishnu bhir ya parito virajate lasad vimana bhava libhir mahatmanam Vidyota manaha pramodatya madhib yubhi savidyud abravi libhir yatha nabaha. Okay, so Brajanishnubhi by the glowing, the Vaikuntha loks, Paritaha surrounded by, Virajayate thus situated, Lasat brilliant, Vimana airplanes, Avalibhi assemblage, Mahatmanam of the great devotees of the Lord, Vidyotyamanaha beautiful like lightning, Pramada ladies, Uttama celestial, Adyubhihi by complexion, Savidyut with electric lightning, Abraha Valibhi with clouds in the sky, Yatha as it were, Nabha the sky. So the translation, the Vaikuntha planets are also surrounded by various airplanes, which we will talk about a little bit during the class. It's quite interesting. All glowing and brilliantly situated. These airplanes belong to the great Mahatmanas or devotees of the Lord. The ladies are as beautiful as lightning because of their celestial complexion. And all these combined together appear just like the sky, decorated with both clouds and lightning. So very beautiful. So the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. It appears that in the Vaikuntha planets, they are also airplanes, brilliantly glowing. And they are occupied by the great devotees of the Lord with ladies of celestial beauty as brilliant as lightning. As they are airplanes, so there must be different types of carriages like airplanes, but they may not be driven by machines, as we have experienced in this world. Because everything is of the same nature of eternity, bliss and knowledge, the airplanes and carriages are the same quality as Brahman. So it's a little bit hard to imagine in our world what it's going to be like, because we operate with machines. They don't. Although there is nothing except Brahman, one should not mistakenly think that there is only void and no variegatedness. Thinking like that is due to poor fund of knowledge. Otherwise, no one would have such a misconception of voidness in Brahman. As they are airplanes, ladies and gentlemen, so there must be cities and houses and everything else just suitable to the particular planet. One should not carry the ideas of imperfection from this world to the transcendental world and not take into consideration the nature of the atmosphere as completely free from influence of time, as etc., as described previously. So that concludes our purport. We'll do a little bit of Mangal Charan. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shlakhaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुव एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. So in this particular text we are describing the Vaikuntha planets. The Vaikuntha planets are a little bit difficult to come by for souls like us. So I was thinking how to actually explain our journey to the Vaikuntha Loks and what Vaikuntha Lok looks like. Obviously, Vaikuntha Lok is presided by Hari, Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu. And he's a presiding deity, Lord Vishnu, and there are a variety of Vaikuntha planets. So there are different forms of Lord Vishnu in each one of the Vaikuntha planets. And Lakshmi Devi is there also in her beautiful form and very opulent. And each one of those Vaikuntha planets are very, very opulent. Talk about jewels and diamonds and richness and opulence of clothes and things like that. So what came to mind for me was something quite special that His Holiness Bir Krishna Maharaj had said in his class, and I was inspired to repeat the story. And the story is actually the journey of Gopakumar and how he visits all these planets that lead him to Vaikuntha planets. It's for those of us who have studied the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, they will know what I'm talking about. The story of Brihad Bhagavatamrita is nectarian. It is for those who are aspiring devotees or are devotees, are pure devotees. The story is legendary and it is full of ecstasy. And it has all these beautiful stories about bhakti, but it also gives a description of various planets. And I thought this morning we read a little bit or take a little bit of information out of there. If I have time, it is a very long story, so we may not have the time to cover everything. But I'll certainly try to at least touch on these various planets that we can travel to. It is really amazing. So the story is of Gopakumar, he was a cowherd boy. And what happened was, actually it started off, just to give you a bit of a background about Brihad Bhagavatamrita, what it is. It is about the son of Parikshit Maharaj, because Parikshit Maharaj is obviously, in our Srimad Bhagavatam, he is checking or asking Sukadev Goswami to relate all the pastimes of Lord Krishna. After that, he leaves behind a son, and his son is his name is Maharaj Janmejaya, and Maharaj Janmejaya is also asking Jaimini Rishi about the conversation that Parikshit Maharaj had before he left his body. He actually had gone to see his mother Uttara, and Uttara had asked him some questions about what happened in the forest of Naimisharanya, and to give her an account of what happened in that conversation with him and Sukadev Goswami. But more to the point, Uttara asked this question: what is the destination of those who are worshippers of the one who dances the rasa dance? Uttara asked. Now Uttara is the mother of Parikshit Maharaj, and Parikshit Maharaj is about to leave his body. The snake, Takshaka, is about to go and bite him, and he's going to leave his body. So he didn't really have the time. He said, well, Mom, I'm going to be, the way Gurudev tells his mom, I'm about to leave this planet at any time. So, if I can compress it. So what he does is compresses the whole story in the form of Gopakumar. So the story goes that there was a Brahmin who was worshipping this goddess Kamakya, who is Gauri, Mother Gauri. And why he worshipped Mother Gauri, or this goddess? He wanted wealth. So he was really after the wealth, and that was his desire. Anyway, so what happened is when he was worshipping the goddess came and gave him this mantra, and it is the Madan Gopal mantra. And we chant this mantra in our Gayatris. And Gurudev says, Bir Krishna Maharaj, he says that these Gayatri mantras actually are contained in the flute of Lord Krishna. So if we recite this mantra, our Gayatris, at the end of this life, we may hear the flute. So we need to be continuously chanting our Gayatris. I know I have been given the Gayatri, and I'm blessed. So I might, hopefully, if I chant my Gayatris sincerely, I might be able to hear a trace of the flute. Who knows in which lifetime? But at least I'm got a footstep through the door, sort of thing. Anyway, so he decides to chant this mantra, the Gopal mantra, and he gradually lost the faith to acquire wealth, but he increased, instead of acquiring wealth, he wanted to acquire a darshan of his worshipable deity, Madan Gopal. And Madan Gopal is in the form of a cowherd boy. So he goes to Keshi Ghat. Actually, he goes to some other places before that. He goes to Ganga Sagar, and he goes to where the Brahmin tells him you can go to Kashi. And he goes to Kashi, and there he sees the sannyasis who want him to become a sannyasi. At that point in time, he lost faith in his, lost the ecstasy of his mantra. So what he did was he wanted to change into a sannyasi, and then he got a dream from Madan Gopal, said, don't turn into a sannyasi. And Lord Shiva also came and said, in his dreams, don't take sannyas, go to Mathura. So this Brahman goes to Mathura, he goes to Keshi Ghat. And when he goes to Keshi Ghat, he sees a cowherd boy over there who is crying in ecstasy, but who's also doing Sankirtan. Crying and Sankirtan go hand in hand. For those of us who know, chanting in ecstasy brings tears. So this particular cowherd boy was doing that, and he approached the cowherd boy and said, what's going on? The cowherd boy said, let me tell you how I came to this stage in this position. Actually, the cowherd boy knew who this Brahmin was, and this Brahmin boy. So then, to cut a short story, cut a long story short, this boy was crying, he was Gopakumar. So Gopakumar tells his story of how he came. Now Gopakumar was the son of a Vaishya who was born next to Govardhan Hill. And he used to tend cows over there. And he used to see this guru over there all the time who loved all the cowherd boys, who was, particularly benevolent to Gopakumar. So he gave this mantra to Gopakumar there. And the mantra was the Madan Gopal mantra, the Gopal mantra also. So this Brahmin boy and Gopakumar, they were chanting the same mantra, the Gopal mantra. And they were both basically chanting the same mantra. And Gopakumar, let me just see where I can, because there's a very short time, so I'm just trying to find out exactly which spot I can. Basically, Gopakumar, after chanting the mantra, he traveled to so many places. And he went to this Brahmin who was offering at the Ganges. He was he saw the deity of Lord dancing, but he never forgot his deity of Madan Gopal. I mean, he went to this province. There was a province, a city, and in that city, everybody was dancing Hari Hari Bol and chanting for the Lord, and they were dancing. And what happened is the king over there in that province died. And so what they did was, they thought, okay, who are we going to make the king next? And they looked at Gopakumar. He was very effulgent looking and, very full of bhakti and all that. And they said, okay, let's make Gopakumar the king. So Gopakumar became the king of this province, but he was never really satisfied. He always wanted his hankering for to see his Madan Gopal. He was continuing chanting his Gopal mantra. So anyway, from there he got the idea that he should go to Jagannath Puri to see his worshipable Lord. So he chanted his mantra and he was transported immediately to Jagannath Puri. Apparently, he didn't need any kind of transportation mode. All he had to do was just chant his Gopal mantra and he was transported straight to Jagannath Puri. So we are gradually progressing from the province, from Mathura, from Keshi Ghat to now Jagannath Puri. And over there, he went to see, he saw the Lord of the universe, Jagannath, and he ran to embrace Jagannath, as we all want to do. But he was stopped by the guards. If you go there now, even in these days, they will have these bamboo sticks and they'll beat you with it. So, anyway, so he went there, he was stopped by the guards, but he worshipped and continued his mantra that he was given by the Brahmin who met him in Govardhan Hill. In any case, whoever gives you this mantra, they actually are, if they're bona fide, they're spiritual masters. So the spiritual master can only give your Gayatri mantra if you want to know, if you are interested. Gayatri mantras can only be transferred to you with full power via a spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master. So anyway, he continued his mantra. And what happened there in Jagannath Puri was the king passed away of Puri. And they said, who should we make the king next? And they went and asked Jagannath. And Jagannath said, Gopakumar is most qualified. So then Gopakumar became the king of Puri. So now, but he was, even when he was the king in Puri, he was still very dissatisfied. So he couldn't see the Lord so he decided to move on. And so he decided to leave Puri. And what happened is, on the way, he met some pujaris who were worshipping Ganga, and they spoke of Swarga Lok, the heavenly planets, and the subterranean planets. And after hearing all this from the sages, the pujaris, who told him that there is Lord Vishnu there in the form of Lord Vamanadev, he decided to go there, to Swargalok planet. So now he is going to the heavenly planets. And so he chanted the mantra and he was transported again without, any kind of vehicle. He just was transported. He went to Swargalok, to the heavens, where he saw Vishnu, Narad, Garuda. Vishnu was in the form of Vamanadev. So now we can see what the heavenly planets look like. And so he found that Lord Indra was worshipping Vishnu there. And just like Indra, he wanted to worship Vishnu there also, and he was very happy. But what happened was, during that time, and note that all these travels, it doesn't just take like he's there for millions of years, because what happens, or thousands of years at the moment, because what happens, the time is different from planet Earth to other heavenly planets. When you go to the heavenly planets, the time is different. So a couple of thousand, I don't know how many, it's hard to calculate, but years go by. Many thousands. So he wanted to worship Vishnu, but what happened was, in the duration, Lord Indra made a mistake. He violated the chastity of the wife of one of the sages, the rishis, just like he had violated the chastity of Gautama Rishi. So anyway, he was in trouble, so he decided to hide himself. So in the meantime, there was no Indra, the Lord of the heavens, and they decided, well, who are we going to make the Lord of the heavens? And they decided Gopakumar is very qualified. So now, from being the king of the province to the king of Puri, now he is Indra. He's become Indra. But despite becoming Indra, he was still not happy, because he couldn't see his Gopal. He was chanting this Gopal mantra over and over. It's just like devotees. We are chanting Hare Krishna. Mahamantra, and we are, those who are Brahmin devotees, they are chanting the Gayatris. We really want to see Krishna in the Gopal form, in the cowherd boy form, and he's not nowhere to be found in the heavens, in the planets, so we'll be dissatisfied. We will not be satisfied. So then one day the sages came and they told him about Maharloka. And in Maharloka, the demigods, they worship Vishnu. And he said to, actually the priest of the demigods, Brahaspati, told him, they said these sages are from Maharloka and they worship the Lord of Sacrifice. So Gopakumar said, let me go there. So he kind of left heaven and he decided to go to Maharloka. He chanted the mantra again, the Gopal mantra, and he was transported immediately to Maharloka, where everybody was worshipping the Lord of Sacrifices. And he saw the Lord of Sacrifices enjoy the sacrifices of the fire, thousands of arms he had. And with his arms he gave the remnants to the sages, who gave it to Gopakumar to become... And the Brahmins over there in Maharloka who were offering the sacrifices, they wanted Gopakumar to become one of the Brahmins like them. But Gopakumar refused. And all this while he was just like dressed like a cowherd boy that he was in Govardhan. So he never changed his outfit or his dress. He just wanted Krishna. So he's Gopal. So he didn't accept. So then from there so now we are gradually progressing. I don't think I'll be able to complete everything. So I'm going to have to cut it short here since it's 9:30. Anyway, he goes to a place called Tapaloka, where there was meditation. And the 4 Sanat Kumars were there. And there he was also still not satisfied. They were worshipping Mahapurusha, who had thousands and thousands of heads. And then from there, he was still not satisfied. So from there, he actually went to Brahma, that's Satyalok. So now he's gradually progressing. He went to Satyalok. And then over there, what happened is... what happened was Brahma also touched a little bit of foam, which was from the devastation of from the previous devastation foam. So that produced a demon which tried to attack Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma ran away. And then Lord Vishnu had to kill that demon. But in the meantime, there was no Lord Brahma. So they decided, let's make Gopakumar Brahma, Lord Brahma. So here is Gopakumar again, is Lord Brahma. And he flooded the universe with bhakti. But he was still not satisfied. I mean, he saw Vishnu there, but he was still not satisfied because there is no Krishna there. So then somebody came, some of these sages, they came, actually the citizens, they told him about liberation, that you go to planet Earth and then you observe Krishna consciousness, and what happens is that you get liberated, means that you travel through the coverings of this, the shell of this universe. So this universe has 8 layers of shells. And what happens is you bypass or you go through all these 8 layers of the universe and you go to Mahaloka. And from there your journey continues. So Gopakumar decides, okay, he leaves Satyalok, Brahma's abode, and then he goes to planet where he meets his guru again, who gives him further instructions, that Brahmin who gave him the mantra, further instructions on the Gopal mantra. He chanted the Gopal mantra, and now he is, of course, this is in Vrindavan, so he goes back to Vrindavan, back down to earth. Then from there, he gets the opportunity to go through all these layers of coverings on this universe. So the first covering was the earth, and there Bhumi was worshipping Lord Bo, Varaha, and he was honored as a guest, and they asked him to stay, but he didn't. So he went to the next layer, which was the water, covering the planet. Presiding deity obviously was Matsya. Then from there he went to the next covering, which was of fire, and the presiding deity was, you guessed it, it was Surya Narayan, the sun god. And then from there he went to the covering of the air, which is Pradumna, presiding deity over there. And then from there he went, there was Mahatattva, where Vasudeva was there. Anyway, each ruler of each covering was superior than the one that was the last one. So then he went finally to Prakriti, the covering Prakriti, where the goddess Mohini Murti was there, and obviously very beautiful. And anyway, she offered him the mystic powers, which Gopakumar accepted, but he was not interested to stay there and enjoy. So he wanted to move on, and he's still looking for his worshipable Lord. And then he goes to Mahaloka after that. So he bypasses all the coverings, goes to Mahaloka, and Mahaloka, there he finds Lord Shiva there. And he spends some time with Lord Shiva, but he's still not happy. So Lord Shiva directs him to go to Vaikuntha. And from there, so we're coming to a place of Vaikuntha. What happens is, but he said, before going to Vaikuntha, you've got to go back to Vraj. Again, he has to go to Vrindavan Vraj, where he engages in processing all kinds of sense control, which is Krishna consciousness. And there he listens to the Bhagavatam, which is what we are doing. We are listening to the Bhagavatam. But in Vrindavan, he listens to the Bhagavatam from a pure devotee. And from a pure devotee, which we do, we listen to the Bhagavatam from a pure devotee also via Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is a pure devotee. So if we listen to the Bhagavatam from him, we can be transported to the Vaikuntha Lok straight away. Of course, we have to leave this body. So that's what happened. An airplane came from Vaikuntha, and they told Gopakumar, you have to come with us. And you have to take a form just like ours. They look like Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. But Gopakumar refused and said, I want to go in my present body as a cowherd boy. So he didn't want to accept the body of Lord Vishnu, which is 4-arm forms, and very beautiful. So at this stage, Gopakumar attained a pure spiritual form, but still in the form of a cowherd boy, because apparently previously he had some material qualities, so he hadn't achieved a spiritual form yet. But now he's more purified, so he achieves the spiritual form, which means that when we listen to the Srimad Bhagavatam, we will achieve our spiritual form, going by this example. Anyway, so now we come to the Vaikuntha planets, which was described in the text this morning, and I'll read a little bit from there, and hopefully we can conclude. We've got about 10 minutes. So everyone, when he went to Vaikuntha Lok, everyone was honoring him along the way. He flew past Mahaloka and Lord Shiva, then he arrived in Vaikuntha. He was asked to wait while they asked Lord Narayan if he can come in. So Gopakumar saw many people who offered obeisances thinking that were Lord Vishnu. He thought, because everybody there, they look like Lord Vishnu. Everyone and anyone. They all look the same. They all look like Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. And so he said to them, oh Lord Vishnu, please accept my humble obeisances. But these devotees, they had a Sarupya Siddhi body, meaning they take the same form as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But they all put their hands on their ears like this and said, no, 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 we are not Lord Vishnu, so don't pay your obeisances to us. We are not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please do not praise us like this. Stop talking like this. And all these people were flying around in the airplanes that we just discussed earlier. And they all look like Lord Vishnu in the airplanes, and the ladies look like Lakshmi Devi. And some of them were more opulent than the others. And they were there with their families. There were many forms in Vaikuntha Lok, if you want to know. Many forms of bodies, forms of people. Like there were monkeys, there were birds, there were trees, there were demigods, there were sages, and there were demons also. Like Vibhishan, he was from a demon family, but he was a devotee of the Lord. So he had sort of a demon background. In other words, in Vaikuntha Lok, these devotees were manifesting the same form they manifested in the material world when they were serving the Lord. So if you think Vaikuntha is only of Lord Vishnu, no, these devotees who had taken birth in the material world and taken a material form, they exhibit or they manifest the same form sometimes in Vaikuntha Lok also. So Gopakumar got to see all this. And he saw that this place was quite opulent, and the Brahman was insignificant in comparison. Anyway, Gopakumar was escorted inside, and then he saw several doors and doorkeepers, and they were all looking like Lord Vishnu. So every door he went, he offered his obeisances, and they all covered their ears and said, "We are not Lord Vishnu, so please don't, offer our obeisances, your obeisances to us." Anyway, finally he got to see Lord Vishnu. And when he saw the Lord Vishnu, he saw the special signs, like he saw the Srivatsa, and he saw the Kaustubha jewel, he saw the 4 arms, all the paraphernalia that Lord Vishnu has. And the goddess of fortune was there. So this is just describing the Vaikuntha planet, what it looks like. Goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi was there on his left, and Bhumi Devi was there on his right. Bhumi Devi was actually Maya Sita Devi. Maya Lakshmi. Anyway, and Sudarshan was there, the chakra, Garuda was there, Ananta Shesha was there. Narad Muni was entertaining the Supreme Personality of Godhead there. And the Lord was offering his feet to all the devotees. Actually, the mood over there is of awe and reverence. So they were just worshipping Lord Vishnu with awe and reverence. And Gopal Kumar at that time was thinking of his deity, Madan Gopal. Because he was chanting this Gopal mantra, he had the image of Lord Krishna in a cowherd Gopal form. And so he was picturing, imagining Lord Vishnu as Gopal Kumar. And I sort of had a similar experience in a dream. I saw Lord Vishnu come here. I didn't see the entire form, obviously. I'm not that advanced. I just happened to see an arm of Lord Vishnu, the one that holds the conch shell, and raised his arm with the conch shell over me and gave me a fruit, a mango. And so I guess that was a fruit of my pious activities. I don't know, this is just a dream, so I can't confirm if it's real or not. Only our gurus will tell us. Anyway, I was not, just like Gopakumar was not satisfied with the form of Lord Vishnu, I was also not satisfied, to be honest. To be very honest, I was not satisfied with the fruit that Lord Vishnu gave me. And all I wanted to do was embrace him. And this is all what Gopakumar here, when he went to Vaikuntha planets, he also wanted to do the same thing. He wanted to embrace Lord Vishnu. And the guards and everyone, the denizens, the citizens, they held him back. You can't embrace Lord Vishnu. It is not done here. That's not the culture here. We worship Lord Vishnu in awe and reverence. No one embraces him. Gopakumar wanted to kiss him. And in my dream, that's what I wanted to do also with Lord Vishnu, because I saw Krishna and wanted to embrace him, but obviously I wasn't allowed then that time in my dream also. So this is some similarities. I was quite disappointed with that fruit. So I remember in my dream, I came into the temple of Lord Krishna and I offered him the fruit. I said, you keep the fruit, you give me your darshan as Lord Krishna, I'll be most satisfied with that. That is what I told Krishna in my dream. Anyway, this is what I'm really talking about Gopakumar. And what the Vaikuntha planets look like. So anyway, he also was offered the opulences, just like I was offered a fruit. He was offered opulences to change his dress and jewels and, look very, very flash and brilliant like the rest of the... But he refused that. He wanted to see his Madan Gopal, and he remained as a cowherd boy. And anyway, they all had lunch, were about to have lunch. Lakshmi Devi came and said, please leave now, because it's time for Lord Vishnu to have his lunch. So he had his lunch separately. Gopakumar was forced to leave. He didn't want to leave, he was forced to leave. So anyway, he wasn't allowed to embrace Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu. He wasn't allowed to stay with him. In Vaikuntham, there were also cowherd boys, by the way, if you didn't know. There were other cowherd boys who had flutes, and they were playing the flutes there, just like in Vrindavan, but they were not the gopas that you actually find, but they were expansions of the gopas. So Gopakumar was also playing his flute with the rest of the cowherd boys. So you find that in Vaikuntha planets also, according to Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So anyway, but they were asked to leave when it was time for Lord Vishnu's lunch. So Gopakumar was still not satisfied. And such is the mood of the devotees too. If we don't find Krishna, we are never satisfied. I am never satisfied. Unless I have my Lord Shyam Sundar, I am never satisfied. I found that personally, that I need to worship Lord Shyam Sundar. Everybody has their own rasa. Some people love to worship Lord Chaitanya. Others are worshipping Lord Nrsimhadev, like my brother does. Others like Lord Ram and Hanuman. So everyone has different rasas. I continually and continuously worship Lord Shyam Sundar, thanks to the blessings of my Guru Maharaj, who gave me the name Shyamapriya, so that kind of got attached. Anyway, so here Gopakumar is not satisfied. He got really depressed. So Narad Muni then said, why are you depressed? And Gopakumar didn't say anything, so he touched his veena onto Gopakumar's head. As soon as he touched his veena on Gopakumar's head, Gopakumar revealed his mind. And he said, I'm depressed because I can't find my Gopal. And Narad Muni said, who gets depressed in Vaikunth planets? No one gets depressed in Vaikunth planets. This is a planet of happiness and enjoyment and ecstasy, and this is a highly unusual and very rare. Anyway, so then from there, Narad Muni preaches to him, and he says, I will tell you a secret. There is another place very close to here, which is known as Ayodhya. And beyond Ayodhya, there is Dwarka. And we will send you there. So to cut a long story very, very short, Gopakumar gets to go to Ayodhya, meets Lord Ram there. Then he goes to Dwarka, he meets Lord Krishna in Dwarka. Lord Krishna doesn't play his flute over there. He's very depressed and he's missing the residents of Vrindavan. Anyway, after that, all that, then he goes to, finally he goes to Goloka Vrindavan, where Lord Krishna is residing. And there, when Lord Krishna sees him in Goloka Vrindavan, which is different from the Vrindavan, which is similar, obviously, to the Vrindavan in planet Earth, but different, because Goloka Vrindavan is eternal and there's no such thing as time over there. So Gopakumar makes it to, eventually makes it to Goloka Vrindavan, where Krishna, when he sees him, Krishna faints. Krishna faints after seeing Gopakumar. He says, I've been waiting for you, and finally you've come. And Krishna starts crying, and then he rolls around on the ground with ecstasy, and people are thinking, what's happened to Lord Krishna? And they look at Gopakumar and they think, you must be some kind of demon that, has come to attack our Krishna. So they're ready to, jump onto Gopakumar. Even Lord Balram gets, a bit hesitant and goes, what's going on? Why is Krishna behaving like this and fainting and crying after seeing this personality? Then Lord Krishna comes to consciousness and he says, this is my buddy. Gopakumar is a cowherd boy, at which stage he was given a name. So something like Satrupa or something like that. Not Subal. Anyway, I forget the actual name at that time, but he gives the name of Gopakumar. And Gopakumar happens to be one of the residents of Goloka Vrindavan. He is transported. So he gave the entire story of his whole journey and traveling to all the planets. Then he tells his Brahmin, he's sitting at Keshi Ghat and telling his whole story. He said, I'm here by Srimati Radharani's grace to preach to you and bring you back, because you also are a cowherd boy. So the Brahmin who was receiving these instructions from Gopakumar, these stories, he was then transported also. He goes to Goloka Vrindavan with Gopakumar. And there I will stop. We've just got 5 minutes over time. So anyway, thank you for listening. I'm sorry that I rushed through the story of Gopakumar in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, but it is really ecstasy and nectarian, and it's worth listening to. And it also gives us an idea of the journey we have to make from one planet to another before we actually reach Krishna. And it's millions and millions and, billions of years it takes us. Unless we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we cannot do it. So we have to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When we chant this, then we reach Krishna. For those of us who are Brahmin initiated, chanting the Gayatri mantras is the benefit of all benedictions, because we actually get to hear Lord Krishna playing his flute, because the Gayatri mantras come from Lord Krishna's flute. So thank you for listening. Hare Krishna to everybody, and have a good day. Have a nice day. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam Puran ki Jai.